Hello everyone, and welcome back to Riven. This is the third episode. If you missed the other two, feel free to check the video description down below for a link to the playlist. And so we sent the power over this way. The reason we did that, so that we can lower this. Whee! Alright, well, that'll be important later. So we'll come back to that. So, this is kind of mean. This puzzle is kind of mean. You walk back and forth and you're like, I don't understand what to do here. There's nothing here. You look over here and you try to click around here. You click around here. You click over here. You click over there. You see this thing and you try to click there. Try to click on the pipe here. There's nothing to do there. There's nothing. And then by some chance you're clicking along and you accidentally click on the doors. Well then. There's a path behind the doors. So let's go down. Hello, dome. So if we look real close, we can see the symbol there on the dome. We can also see, hey, there's a little circle here telling you that there's another path to take to get to that. So let's head up this way. And we can see that there's something there that we can't do anything with, but seems to continue along this way to right here. That seemed to go off that way. I don't remember what that does, to be honest. I think it does something. I think it's sending power to something. Oh, I know what that does. So this goes off this way. And I believe what that does is turns this fan off. Yes, it does. There it is. Ta-da! Here we are. 8/7/28. Last week, while monitoring the situation in the villagers from the scope in my survey room, I observed one of the natives swim out to a small object that appeared to be floating, but anchored near the entrance to the bay. I ordered the object removed from the water for inspection. Several days later, however, I was surprised to see another floating there. The missing object had apparently, and quite mysteriously, been replaced with a new one overnight. I've long been aware of the existence of similar artifacts on the villagers' island, but have paid them little notice until now. Tomorrow I shall send surveyors to catalog the others. So here's an eye. And so, interestingly enough, as soon as I get my pen working again, I guess. Interestingly enough, this is the other symbol. Come on. My pen does not want to draw. So this is the symbol for number 1. I'm going to go ahead and write this down, but I'm not going to tell you yet what it is, because I already know. But yeah, that's the number 1 symbol. See a little globe solar system type thing, maybe. There's that. There's those things. Here's a spear. Nice little pipe for smoking his tobacco. We will read that here in just a minute because we have to. Here is that same trap we saw before. It has the pellet in it already. Open this up, and there's a lot of different stones. It seems to also be the only drawer that opens. So there's that. Click. Oh. Does this not do anything? Oh, there it goes. So this is really cool. So, there's a little bit of water in here. When you turn this on, it heats it, and the water goes up and floats until the heat turns off. Mighty peculiar, don't you think? I've never heard of water doing that before. I mean, it'll rise the steam, but oh, hey look, frogs. So this is your hint as to what this trap is for. There you can see, here's the trap, here's the pellet, and then you can see the frogs. Nothing I can pick there. If I open this door, now the door is unlocked from this side. And we won't go out it yet, but it's unlocked. But now it's unlocked, which means that we can go in and out at will. We have this little structure here. Doesn't seem to do anything. Here we have a magnifying glass looking at the wood. Here we have some paper. A few things there. A clamp. Specifically the type you would use for, I don't know, putting a book together? Perhaps? Oh look, a little furnace in the middle of the room. How about that? There's something in it. Let's find out what. A partially but not fully burnt book. Ooh, a linking book. But it doesn't link to anything. It's a burnt linking book. Which tells you that Gehn was likely trying to create linking books. Got a little bit of wood over here for lighting the furnace. And then there was a little button. Where'd it go? Oh, over here. And there's a doorway out this way, but we're not going to go out that way yet. We will go out that way, but not quite yet. I think that's the right way to go. There's two ways to go, and I think this is back... I don't remember. We'll figure that out in a minute. But first... 882-213. The latest ink formulation has proven a failure. Even when writing in my most promising books, I obtain only the barest glimmer of a connection. It is frustrating to expend so much effort creating a blank book, only to end up destroying it when it doesn't work. There are days when the lab is uncomfortably warm from the flames of these failed attempts. Further, I refine each element, the formulations of the ink and papers, the physical dimensions of the books, the more I realize that the list of potential combinations is nearly infinite. It's during moments like these that I despair. Without access to Dunny, my long-term goals may never be accomplished. Nevertheless, there are avenues of research which remain to be explored. 8258. I am discontinuing regular observation of the stars beneath the fissure. Although I've been able to track the dark cloud-like formations that migrate through the star field and have proven their path are cyclical, without proper instrumentation, it is pointless to continue. My general theory concerning the nature of the fissure has remained unaltered since it first appeared. It seems the very fabric of this age has been breached in a way that permits matter to be hospitably exchanged between two discrete but overlapping spaces, much like a link, but the apparent physical contradictions surrounding this juncture defy logical reason. Sorry, hang on, I've got something here on my... got nail that's busted itself apart. I've got it. I'm such a girl because I cannot stand my nails being like that. The great column of wind that was formed when the fissure first appeared suggests a vacuum, as one might expect in space. Yet my early experimentations revealed the presence of a breathable atmosphere. The Atris and Catherine threw themselves into the void as further evidence that it might be safe to travel. But without knowing its true nature, I cannot take the risk myself. It's also difficult to say what would happen if I were to reopen it after so long. But it is likely that the results would be catastrophic, given the changes that have occurred in this age since that time. Maintenance on the steam vent caps completed. 83-210. I am extremely pleased with the continued success of the system. I believe the construction to have been true to the Dunny designs of my memory, another example of the superiority of the Dunny technology. It's ironic that Atris and Catherine unwittingly provided me with such a convenient source of power. Yep. He's pulling power up and creating steam. As with many of my views over the years, my thoughts regarding the origin of the fissure have changed. Excuse me. I have recently begun to wonder whether it was actually an unexpected byproduct of the changes I need to stop hiccuping. Of the changes Catherine and Atris wrote into this age during their escape. Certainly by casting their linking book into the void, they trapped me here quite effectively, but I do not believe that Atris intended the book to be lost in this manner. Much better to destroy it than to risk the possibility of it falling into unknown hands. Also, had they foreseen the creation of the fissure, they would surely have thought that the vacuum it created would eventually consume the atmosphere of this planet, a fate which Catherine undoubtedly would have deemed unacceptable for her homeworld. If I had not been there to supervise the construction of the seal, this is most certainly what would have happened, for the villagers were far too frightened to even approach the vortex without my urging. I hold on to the belief that it was an unintended consequence of their writing for another reason as well. I prefer to think that my son had meant for this age to be merely a prison for me, rather than a death sentence. 83-514. The construction of the imagers has proceeded without fault. It is interesting to see how easily I've been able to adapt the Dunny technology to mimic that of the Ahmed. In some ways, the similarities between the two cultures was striking. I wonder if perhaps they had communication, if there had been communication or commerce between the two cultures in earlier times. Maybe Keda's people were even descendants of the Dunny. It pleases me to think so. Note, it is possible that if I were somehow able to supply the books with a power source of sufficient magnitude, I could suppress the variance enough to facilitate a solid link. It's doubtable that the geothermal cap generators could provide such an enormous surge. Perhaps I could adapt the fire marbles. I've been cataloging the natural elements of this age for nearly 30 years now, yet still I continue to find evidence of the Dunny's preoccupation with 5. The preoccupation with 5. As a boy, it was very clear to me that the number 5 had a special significance to the Dunny society. From the ancient heraldic emblems of the ruling elite to the humble homes of the commoners, it was ubiquitous. Its presence here is obviously a direct reflection of the minds that designed the texts that are used to compare this age, further proof that through their art, the Dunny masters were indeed creating the marvelous worlds they wrote, and not, as many mistakenly thought, merely building links to pre-existing worlds. While most of my constructions have been based on Dunny designs, I see now that the ones that I have imbued with the power of 5 are clearly the most beautiful, the most perfect, and I believe the most structurally sound. I am still attempting to determine how the Dunny color symbology reflects the superior design principle. Although superficially it is based on a 6-color system, I am convinced that there has to be a deeper connection to 5. I will continue to investigate. So here we have the eyes, and I believe that they are in red, orange, green, yellow, blue, and violet order. I think. I'm not sure. I am going to write these down just in case they are. Sorry, I am writing them down, and it's not the easiest thing to do. It's a dot. Emphasize the line on that one. Dot there, and the circle, and the sideways eye and a dot, and then a circle with a straight line. And so red, let's see, what is it that's, what's the order? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple / violet. Roy Gibb, I think. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I'm going with. 83,911. I finally made a breakthrough. I have succeeded in modifying the fire marbles to generate enough power to hold a descriptive linking book in a stable matrix. I have linked to a new world. It is a harsh and desolate age, but it is nonetheless well suited for my purposes, and so I have designated it my whatever. By studying it closely, I believe I will eventually be able to create a more appropriate age for us to resettle on. For now, I will build an office and set up my living quarters there, in order that I may conduct my experiments in safety and without distraction. So this number, it's really interesting, because, let's see, it is, so this is the symbol for 9, and this is the symbol for 8, so it's the 98th age. But he says it as 98th RD. The reason for that, and this is what I don't understand, is that there's some means in which these two symbols come together, and it actually makes the number 233. So therefore 233rd. Again, I'm not really sure how, because that's the symbols 8 and 9. Maybe it's, actually, hang on. I might have an idea, but I'm not sure if this is right. Let me check. Nope. I was gonna say maybe it's like 8 times 9 or something, but no, that's still 72. So 72nd. I don't know. Somehow this translates out to 233, but I don't actually know how. I've never really understood that. So, I must admit that I am proud of my work. To think that in such primitive conditions I have accomplished in 29 years what it took the original Dunny centuries to achieve. Note, to prepare outerwear for work on this world. The goggles may need to be redesigned altogether. 84,413. I have begun construction on a series of link sites for each island that will connect Riven with my office on, again, from what I understand, it's supposed to be 233rd. The Survey Guild has finally completed the site location for each island. according to my exact specifications, and installation of the domes is underway at last. Work on the central power source got off to a bit of a bad start, I am afraid, but the pace has picked up considerably since then, and I anticipate no further delays. I'm looking forward to finally having a civilized mode of transportation. So you can see there that he's a little, what's the word? Egotistical? I don't think that's the right word. But basically, he considers, like, walking around and riding those trams and things to be uncivilized. You know, the linking is civilized to him. Due to the rebels' continued disturbances, I've decided to install a coded access system into all of the domes. So this is important because, once again, this is randomized. There's absolutely no way for me to have known this code until just now. So let's see. Let me write this down too. If I can get my pen to work, would be great. Sorry that I keep having to stop and fix my pen here. Seriously. Okay, well, the pen has stopped working altogether. That's a problem. Because, yeah, I'm getting nothing out of this at all. Nothing is... It is not writing in the slightest. So I might have to pause. I might have to stop the episode a little early and attend to that. Let me do a quick gander here around my desk to see if I have any other pens which I'm not seeing. And if not, then we'll finish reading this book and then we'll end off because I obviously need to get some kind of new writing utensil because that pen has ceased to write. You can hear me trying right there and getting nothing out of it. Alright, well, let's... I can always come back to this. I caught one of my... 8567. I caught one of my assistants looking over this journal today. I'm glad I've chosen to write it in a language that they cannot decipher. Note, discuss security with each guildmaster. No problems expected from the maintainers, educators, and surveyors. Question the bookmakers and builders more closely. 86-10-24. Today I heard several more reports of spirit sightings by some of the villagers. It seems that under Catherine's leadership, the rebels, or the Black Moiety, as the villagers ostensibly insist on referring to them, have attained a new level of sophistication in their terror tactics, and have renewed their campaign to intimidate the villagers into joining them, playing upon their shared superstitions. The villagers are certainly susceptible to this form of coercion, especially given of late the rebels' increasing arts of vandalism and theft. 87-115. The Wytram traps have been steadily fruitful this year. Apparently the breakup of the islands has not adversely affected the subterranean ecosystems. Unfortunately, I imagine the rebels are experiencing a similarly generous harvest. No shortage of poison for their darts this season. Such morbid issues aside, the sudden availability has allowed me to refine a particularly pleasant extract from my pipe, one that is smoother than any of the others from recent years. 87-3-29. Chemical analysis of one of the rebel knives has yielded curious results. Its composition contains elements that are unlike anything I've encountered on the islands. It appears they have access to a resource of which I am unaware. Perhaps a mine or an uncharted island. There's the dagger there. Note, most of the knives have been found on the southern side of the village. This is the same area in which there have been reports of people mysteriously disappearing. I think a closer inspection of the area is warranted. The fact that they leave these distinctive knives as a sign of their presence concerns me. They're growing more bold, and seem to no longer fear discovery of their hideout. The latest measurements indicate the recent trend has continued. The movement of the islands has slowed tremendously. My previous estimates predicted a total collapse in approximately 3 months, but with the new figures I am uncertain. I've nearly finished writing the 99th age, I guess. Again, it's weird because this is something else. This is let's see. Again, that symbol is 98, and he's calling it the 98 Erd. But this is 9 and 9, and he's got TH, 99th. And that makes sense, but this doesn't. This is supposed to be 233rd. I think this is 255th. Again, I don't understand how these make up that, though. I'll have to look it up. I'm sure I can find it in between episodes. I've nearly finished writing the whatever age, and I have every faith that it will indeed be a safe place for us to relocate to. Yet it would be helpful to know what has caused the halt in this age's breakup. Is it possible that it's stable after all? If so, I must discover how this age differs from my less successful attempts. My examinations of the 233rd age have thus far proven inconclusive. Or perhaps someone is repairing the damage to the 5th age. If so, it would almost certainly be Atris's doing. I have reluctantly decided to abandon my experience into the behavior of the water of this age, as there are more pressing matters on which I must now concentrate, leaving me little time for such speculative research. For future reference, however, my investigations up to this point have revealed the following. I believe the remarkable properties of the water to be caused by a life form that resides in it, specifically a type of bacteria. I am imagining a motile unicellular organism, but one with structures capable of holding bits of water, whose combined effect, via surface tension, maybe a stronger force, causes the composite body of water to move in response to heat. Prolonged to extreme heat, for example, a period of extended boiling, seems to kill the bacteria, which would explain its dramatic aversion to heat sources. Unfortunately, these theories are still not fully tested, and I remain ignorant both of its deeper nature and its possible usage. Oh my god, it keeps going on. 8776. An exciting development. Last night a squad of maintainers stumbled upon a lone rebel scout and obtained from him a most incredible device. It is a crystal that somehow powers these flawed linking books, much as my own system does, but with an obvious advantage. It is small and weighs only a few pounds, making it completely portable. Catherine must have fabricated the device before I captured her. Obviously with an explicit dunny schematic she must have brought with her to this age. If only I'd had access to such a document all these years! Regardless, I can now concentrate solely on the writing of ages, and need no longer worry about building elaborate power supplies for each new book I write. This is a sobering reminder, however, that I must continue to seek an avenue to Dunny. Regaining access to the resources there may be crucial to the completion of my mission. There we go. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and leave this episode off here. When we come back, I will have found a new writing utensil, and we can continue. So I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to check the video description down below for a link to the playlist so that you can get caught up on any episodes you might have missed. And I'll see you all next time. See you later.